What's up, people? It's time to talk about the state of the Seattle Seahawks franchise, and let me tell you, we are in fantastic position right now. There are only a couple teams in this league that can say they're on the same tier as us in terms of how good we look moving forward. We have built a team that should compete for the next decade, and there are only a couple other teams that can definitively say that. San Francisco, maybe Baltimore, but we'll see about that. Probably one or two others like Green Bay, maybe Atlanta, but there are very few teams on that list, and we are on that list. So if you are a Seahawks fan, it's time to get excited because I think this next decade is going to be a lot of fun. And watching this team get built over these past 3 seasons has really been a tremendous experience. And this is how you run a team. Pete Carroll, John Snyder, they have done a tremendous job. And I gotta say, when we brought in Pete Carroll, I didn't like him. When we fired Russell, I can't even remember his name now. That's the irony of the thing. I loved him when he was here. Oh, Tim Ruskell. When we fired him, I wasn't a fan of it, but it has proven to be the right decision. There are very few coaches in the league better than Carroll right now. There are very few talent evaluators better than John Snyder. So how did we do it? How did we build from nothing to contender for the next decade in 3 seasons? How did we get into such good position right now? Well, it all starts offensively, at least, in the trenches. And the job this team has done building in the trenches over these past few years has been pretty incredible. It all starts, the anchor of the offensive line, left tackle Russell Okung, 4th overall pick 3 years ago. Had troubles with injuries, frustrated all of us. I know. I was as frustrated with him as some of you were, but this season he put it together, stayed healthy, stayed on the field, and had a Pro Bowl season. And he could get better. He could be the best left tackle in the league in a year or two. He really could. I mean, he is a tremendous young talent. He could tone it down on the penalties a little bit, but he is the anchor of everything. Max Unger, Pro Bowl center. Not somebody we expected to be a great player, but he is. He was one of the best centers in the league last year. A diamond in the rough, really. And good thing we had him, too. He is one of the foundational members of our great rushing attack. James Carpenter, first 2 seasons, injury-prone, but I have a good feeling that next year we'll move him to guard, plop him down at left guard, and he's going to do his job there. He's not a tackle, he's a guard. We need to accept that and put him in the best position to succeed. So that left side of the line next year, if everybody can stay healthy, Russell Okung, James Carpenter, Max Unger, give me that left side of the line over pretty much any left side of the line in the league. They could really be that dominant. J.R. Sweezy, a guy who nobody expected anything out of, doing big things now. People are talking him up in the organization. We'll see what happens with him, but the way people are talking about him, it really makes you think that we found another diamond in the rough, and he could move to right guard or maybe even right tackle and be a good player. If you look at him and you might say, well, nothing was expected of him. He's not a top talent, but maybe there's something there that the talent evaluator simply didn't see. And if that ends up being the case, and the way people are talking about him, it really seems like he could be a great player moving forward. That solidifies 4 offensive line spots. And then you have John Moffitt, who I think, bump him over to right tackle starting next year. That's a tremendous offensive line. I mean, John Moffitt may never make a Pro Bowl, but I think he's a good player, and I like him. That would bump down players like Yakamimi and Paul McQuiston or Pat McQuiston or whichever McQuiston twin we had last year. Players that were weak points on that offensive line. Bumps them down into second-string roles, and I think if we roll into next season with that offensive line, that puts us in great position right off the bat. You've got 2 good tight ends, Zach Miller, Anthony McCoy. People are going to say Zach Miller's not worth all the money we gave him. Yes, he is. I mean, you should see the work he does in run blocking and pass protection. He's one of the best in the league at that, at the tight end position. He's a big part of the reason why we have one of the best rushing attacks in the league. So that set of players we have in the trenches, the great tight ends, the great offensive line, makes us, right off the bat, an offense that is set up to do great things for the next decade. They're young, they're talented, they're everything. And then you have the second part of that battle, quarterback. The biggest challenge in this league is to get a quarterback that can play at a high level. This is a quarterback's league. The teams with great quarterbacks win. The teams with lesser quarterbacks fall to the wayside. At a certain points in your season, you will need a really good quarterback. And as somebody who was on the Matt Flynn wagon when the season started, Russell Wilson, tremendous rookie season. He did everything you could have asked for. He started a little slow, but he got better as the season went along. Had some big, great games. Did some fantastic things down the stretch. Played big in the playoffs. He doesn't turn it over. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He gives us so much hope going forward. You know, tremendous guy, tremendous leader. I'm not anticipating any kind of sophomore slump from him. I'm expecting big things from him for the rest of his career with us, and I imagine the whole thing will be with us unless something terrible happens. So, you know, that's the foundation. That offensive line, that quarterback. We got a great running back, Marshawn Lynch. Loves to run people over, entering his 7th season, getting a little older. But, you know, he's definitely part of the foundation moving forward, and he's still one of the best running backs in the league. He might start falling off, but it's not going to be a, you know, thing. And I mean, I could see us giving more of the load to Robert Turbin, but our rushing attack should continue to be one of the best in the league, mainly because of our dual threat quarterback. You know, the stuff you see Kaepernick doing down in San Francisco, it's kind of the same thing. Solid young receivers, Sidney Rice, Golden Tate, Doug Baldwin. You know, Sidney Rice, free agency. Golden Tate, draft. Doug Baldwin, I think he was an undrafted free agent. Gian Butler, another, I think he was a low draft picker, an undrafted free agent. Leveraging everything that we can do, you know, drafting, free agency, all that stuff, to getting the best talent we can. And those guys are young. They're not Pro Bowlers. Sidney Rice did make a Pro Bowl once upon a time, but they're solid, they're young, and I'm anticipating big years from all of them going into this next year because I think we're going to throw the rock around a little bit more in 2013. So that's how the offense has been built. A lot of young talent, a lot of good talent, and a vision to be a running team with a smart quarterback who doesn't turn over the ball, with the capacity to extend into something bigger than that. Defense, secondary, forget it. Best secondary in the league. Richard Sherman, Brandon Browner, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, all 4 of them could make a Pro Bowl at any given time. Maybe not all 4 of them well, but they are all 4 of them Pro Bowl caliber players. You know, Sherman might have been the best cornerback in the league last year. He didn't make the Pro Bowl because of the steroid stuff. Who knows how legitimate that was or not, but with Darrelle Revis out, he might be the best cornerback in the league. Brandon Browner, big physical guy, good player. I like him. Plays at a Pro Bowl level. Cam Chancellor, I would like to see more turnovers forced on his part, but he's a hell of a player, strong safety. You know, he's got the linebacker size. Earl Thomas, best safety in the league in my opinion right now. Had a great playoff run, 2 interceptions over 2 games, and all those guys are young. They're going to be around for a while. They're not going anywhere. So we just have to make sure that we have them on the roster going forward, and that's the best secondary in the league, and I'll challenge any other secondary in the league. Red Bryant, versatile player down in the trenches. He's a big guy. He can play defensive end, great run stuffer. Brandon Mebane, I continue to like the guy. He's one of the holdovers from the Holmgren era, and I continue to like what he does. Chris Clemens, like I said in my last video, picked him up off the scrap heap. Nobody else wanted him. Anybody could have had him. He's put together 3 Pro Bowl seasons for us. Bruce Irvin, we'll see what we do with him, but good rookie season. Has some holes in his game, but he did what we needed him to do. He did his thing. Bobby Wagner, fantastic rookie season at middle linebacker. KJ Wright, second-year linebacker, doing big things for the Seahawks. It is a fantastically young and talented team. There are only maybe 2 or 3 players on this team who play big roles for us where age is a concern. I mean, it is a embarrassment of riches in so many ways. And moving forward, I have very high expectations. The expectations for this team over the next decade should be competing for Super Bowls and, deep playoff runs, because that's the expectations we have set up for ourselves by getting all these good players together. And I just wanted to take this video to break it all down. That's the core. That's all the young, good talent that we have, and that's what makes us dangerous going forward. So if you're a Seahawks fan and you're still moping about that playoff loss, and it was a tough loss, take heart. The team is talented. The team is good. And I think there are good things on the horizon for this Seattle Seahawks team. And, yeah,